My dad made us do everything. One of the things that was very clear to me in the beginning was that a lot of things were expensive. One of the things that was for free was imagination. Imagination is for free. When I look at things, I don't see barriers. I don't see impossibilities.
So let's talk about mindset.
If you want to change your mindset, you need to also change people that are around you. A lot of people, it's not that they can't change their mindset, it's just that, they fell into that programming thing, they fell into that, that whole structure. Sometimes when you know yourself better, you know the things that you deserve, the things that you should be walking in. A lot of people were so much potential here, and you traveled and you're lost. I would say you're one son. When you've lived many years, imagining things, like things that would naturally be impossible in the physical, like you could imagine it, and it's a possibility in that realm. There's something unique about me.
Yeah.
And there's something unique about everybody.
Absolutely.
Because if you rely on how unique you are, you would break through systems, you would defy different things. One of the things I try to learn is how to ask questions. And I think Nigeria is a bedrock. There's so many things you can do in Nigeria. So many things are broken.
Hello everyone. Welcome to Stories and Journeys, where we explore the transformative power of learning, growth, and resilience. I am Oluwatimilei Oyedeji. Join us as we uncover untold narratives and ignite curiosity. Joining us today is an amazing person, someone I respect, the Meta in-country lead for Aleph, Jesudetan Onasanya. Thank you so much, JD, for joining us today.
Thank you.
How do you feel?
Well, I feel great, man. It's such an honor to be here on the very first episode, right? So it's an honor for me. Thank you for inviting me. I like to be part of like things that are just starting, right? Because you never know where it's gonna go, right? There's a famous story about the first people who invested into Facebook, right? Because obviously Mark was this young lad in Harvard. The idea was for him to build something that connects people within his school.
Correct.
And this has become something that actually connects the world.
Correct.
Imagine those that invested very early in that vision. Today, they can literally go to sleep and be happy for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely.
So for me, this is more like investing early, right? Because I really believe in you, believe in what you're doing, and I think that obviously stories, more than anything, they are patterns that you can, they create this track record that someone can pick up and follow and hit certain possibilities, right? So they're very important things to detail, to document, to put out there. A lot of people looking for light, looking for guidance. So when we do things like this, it's very, very, very important.
Absolutely. I mean, thank you so much again. I'm super excited to have you here. Let's speak a bit about Meta.
Okay.
Meta obviously is huge in the market. Over 30-40%, share of the digital space within the marketing space in Nigeria. How has that experience, working very closely with Meta, how has that experience been for you, and what kind of impact, are you driving in the market in Nigeria and by extension, Africa?
I mean, it's really massive opportunity, to be honest. I mean, I think when I got this opportunity, I was really amazed, right? Because from an impact standpoint, it's like there's so much. And what really differentiates Meta from other platforms really is that you use the tools and products every day, right?
True.
Use them for so many things. And obviously, because of the family of apps, it caters to different age brackets. People will always typically say that old people are on Facebook, the young people are on what?
Instagram.
On Instagram, right? So it kind of takes different generations and does the same job of connecting people together, right? And now with these threads, right? So people creators who actually want to express themselves in writing can do that conveniently. So when you have that kind of tool in your arsenal and you're responsible for that in a country like Nigeria, where you have over 200 million people, right? Different tribes, you kind of understand that it's a very, very audacious goal that you have, right? And also a very, very powerful platform that you have as well. It's also a very powerful position, right? And you basically, what I oversee is actually how to transform this, for businesses. Because, like in Nigeria, 96% of the GDP is being driven by SMEs.
Correct.
It's ridiculous, right? If you ask any 4 people in any room, one of them is an entrepreneur. One of them is doing business.
True.
So Nigerians are entrepreneurs. And, to see that someone can actually pick up their Instagram and at the click of a button, they can switch their personal profile to professional profile and start to sell whatever they're doing, shoes, bags. They can put, books, they can put clothes on WhatsApp status and sell.
Absolutely.
There's so much power in that, right? And being able to enable that whole ecosystem, can be pivotal to changing the landscape economically for this country, right? So those are the kind of things that, keeps me awake at night. It's like, how do we really unpack this thing? How do we, make this thing really come to life? Because the African narrative has been around for a very, very long time. It's always about Africa is the next frontier. Africa is the new big thing. But in terms of numbers, we are not there yet. Like this is potential.
Correct.
We need to be able to deliver more unicorns, like the Flutterwaves of this world, the Opes of this world. We need to deliver more unicorns like that. And the only way to do that is to be able to strategically look at some of these SMEs that have unique solutions to problems, the numerous problems that we have in this country. And then, from there on, it would be good to put in my story and say I was part of, being able to change that tide.
Nice.
Right. So that's kind of what it is for me.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I'll take you a step back.
Okay.
Let's dial back to childhood. What was growing up like for you as a person, and how has your upbringing, for example, prepared you for what you're doing today?
That's a very interesting question, right? Well, I think I owe a lot of things to my parents. Because things like work ethic, things like being visionary, never seen a barrier, never seen like an impossibility, came from things that obviously looking and watching my parents, my dad particularly, right? And for me, I remember we're very, very young at the time. My brothers would tell you this. My dad made us do everything that, like, we're not the family that would contract things out for, okay, go get a carpenter to fix this, go get a painter to paint this. We did everything ourselves.
Interesting.
So we learned how to do we're very handy, right? And that's why, like, I wasn't picking a lot of skills growing up, So my brother, so we used to do this thing where we kind of split like different skill sets across each other, right? So one of my brothers was like, it was a rapper.
Oh, really?
Yeah. One was a sound producer, so then there was Fruity Loops. He would go on Fruity Loops, he'll be on Fruity Loops all day and night. And then they said I'm supposed to be the one that is a creative, like into like video. Cause I used to like try to draw.
Oh, okay.
They're like, you're gonna be like the one who, so when I rap, this one makes the beat, then you do the music video. So it was kind of like interesting like that. So, we push each other and things like that. And these possibilities were enabled by the kind of environment we grew up in. My parents, they made sure that they imbibed in us, the ability to see to see far, right? Like we never really looked just here. It's like we need to be global. We need to go out there, but you need to build substance, right? So we spent a lot of time reading. We spent a lot of time also tinkering, right? Like there was a lot of value in that, right? Just sit down and think and be creative. My brothers did. I remember there was a time, and maybe I take more pride in my brothers because, they were also, because I'm the last child, so they really inspired me a lot as well. There was a time then, there was this, it wasn't DSTV, it was like satellite dish, right? And typically the people who were wealthy had this really large dish.
The white one outside.
White out, them dark outside and all that, yeah. And you would be able to like, see like channels, like foreign channels and things like that. But typically, like in regular home, you would have like antennas. Those antennas were, they were like either two steel wires like this, like this V shape.
Yeah.
Or if you were really, if
Or
you
you
really
place
had
on the
some
TV
money,
itself.
you put on the TV itself. Or if you really had some money, there's one you put on the roof
Yeah.
that has like, you know, and there's many, like it's very interesting, you know, piece of device. I remember my brother created his own antenna. Yeah, he created his own antenna. He used like fluorescence and he used a couple of things, right?
Oh.
And he built this antenna. And what the antenna would do was that it would receive signals,
Okay.
right, from neighbors, right? So they were watching international channels. So what he built would receive like what they were watching and would watch it on our own TV.
Interesting.
So it was like tapping into their signals and all of that. There was this, I mean, sorry to go into all of these stories, right? There was this neighbor that I had, his only son. He had this game called, I think it was, I'm not sure it was Terminator or Sega. So it was one of those earlier games, right? And we would tell him like, let's come and play your game within your house. Because like, it wall separates our house, you know, our houses, yeah? And he would say, no, my dad has seized the game and all of that, right? And then we'll go to our house and we would pick the signal of what was happening on his TV. So we'll see him playing the game, all right? And we'll knock and it's like, let's play the game. It was like, no, like it will shout and say, no, like my dad has seized the game and all that. We're like, it's a lie, you're lying.
You're playing it.
We know you're playing the game. And it's like, I'm not lying, I'm lying. We're like, oh, come out and come see. So he comes over to our house and he sees what he's playing on the TV. Like, see what you're playing. He was like, it's a lie.
Witchcraft.
My dad found out this and he was so amazed. It was like, wow, you know? And that's kind of like the, you know, background. That's kind of like how I grew up, right? It was like possibilities, different. You could do anything, you know? And that kind of has helped me today as well to always, you know, look forward, look beyond barriers, you know, see how to, you know, innovate and, you know, create new things and that kind of stuff, yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. I mean, it just quickly speaks to problem solving.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which essentially is a critical ingredient for success. How would you say, you know, that background of yours, you know, the learnings and skills you were able to earn at that time, you know, how would you say that those sort of help create the mindset around, you know, being global? You know, I imagine, you know, you being maybe 10 years old at the time, you know, how could you have been able to imagine, you know, things around having a global mindset? Yes, linking that back to problem solving, you know, how was that for you? How did that come about?
So listen, I mean, one of the things that was very clear to me in the beginning was that a lot of things were expensive. And I didn't grow up in like the most, you know, financially, you know, like a wealthy home and stuff like that, but we're okay. One of the things that was for free was imagination. Imagination is for free, right? And I spent time spending that imagination. I spent my whole time imagining things. I imagined myself as president of the United States. I imagined myself as, like it was free. So why not spend it? Like, why did I want to inhibit like all of those imaginations? Like, I remember then I enjoyed spending time with myself because I would lie on my bed and I'm like, I would live many lives and I'll be so happy. Like, I'll be like, I'm the president of the United States. I'm like, you come here. What are you doing? You bombed that country. I had bombed countries. I had created different things. I was super wealthy. I had like a convoy. Everything. I lived everything, right? So when you've lived many years, you know, imagining things, like things that would naturally be impossible in the physical, like you could imagine it and it's a possibility in that realm, right? So imagine now, where we're seated now, I just flow in the air. Right? Maybe it's possible, but it's going to take a lot of physics and a lot of, you know, to find a way to make this happen. Maybe make this room a vacuum and all of that. But it's going to take a lot of work. But guess what? I can live in that reality now, immediately.
For free.
For free. You know? And that kind of so when I work today, when I look at things, I don't see barriers. I don't see impossibilities. I know sometimes when it comes to, you know, reality is there, but reality is just put a little effort into it, a little thought into it, and you would see, okay, what you need to make it work, or and sometimes if I pitch it to you, I pitch it to a leadership and I'm like, hey, this is what it takes to make this work, and they buy into it, then you get the resources to actually achieve it. But if you are locked up in it's not possible.
Yeah.
I've never seen that before, so I'm not going to go near it. You're never going to be able to, really create or, break barriers, in what you do.
Interesting. Interesting. I love the mindset. So let's talk about mindset.
Okay.
Because you being able to imagine things, being able to see barriers is a function of mind.
Yep.
And how your mind works.
Yeah.
So many people do not have that mindset. It does not come to some persons naturally.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, or how did you form that mindset?
Mm-hmm.
And to our listeners listening to us, that are struggling, to see beyond the challenges,
mm-hmm.
what would be your recommendations to them?
See, mindset I also think it's like muscle. You can build it, right? You can build it, and you sometimes it doesn't jump at you. Don't just have a mindset. Like, one of the things that I learned early on was every time I have a particular thought pattern, I was introspective enough to say, where is that coming from? Right? So maybe I have a fear of something, right? I'm like, what is informing that fear? What is fueling this? Where is this coming from? Where did I learn this? Because we pick signals. There's signals everywhere. If you use meta platforms, you understand signals, and signals are important, right?
Correct.
And I always ask myself that question. So you need to be that introspective to be able to investigate your own self. Like, there's a lot of things flying around. When I go on Twitter, yes, I use Twitter. I go on Twitter, when I go on Meta, wherever I am, there is a signal that is being pushed. There's a narrative. For example, now, it's so hot now, and like at the moment, there's an heat stroke happening right now. A lot of people are saying different things about it, right? We're here now, we're chilled, right?
Yeah.
But certain people can sell a particular mindset. I'm not even going to go into that, but information basically is also a very important indices or important factor in determining what your mindset comes to be. So protecting your mind is important, right? What information that passes through. And sometimes who actually gives that information is also very important. Because when people that you respect pass it kind of information through, there's some, if someone comes, maybe someone that you don't think is serious says, you're an idiot, you'll never make it. You're like, who are you, man? But when someone who's close to you, respect, says that, it's like your what's the word now? Your shield or whatever you use to protect yourself, you open up to that person. So you just go straight in, right? So people that are around you, people that have access to you, that you respect, those people are also part of the equation that you need to watch out for. That means that if you want to change your mindset, you need to also change people that are around you, right? So for example, if I want to think more scientifically, I want to be more detailed, the kind of people that I start to listen to, right? If I want to help, maybe change the way I speak, I want to speak more fluently and more in a way that lands, right? Maybe I want to listen more to Vusi, Tembe Kwayo, right? Or maybe I want to listen more to, who, I'm saying, like, you look at a speaker who can actually land the message, easy. If I want to do a podcast and I want it to really be nice, I want to listen to Joe Rogan or something like that, you see? So people you listen to also, and obviously, like I mentioned earlier, your mind is a muscle. So the more you keep inputting this information, the more it becomes stronger on that particular agenda or information or that particular direction that you're trying to go. And that really changes everything for you, right? And also, it's important to believe what you're listening to. Like, your belief also matters. So for example, you learn maybe you're listening to Francis Ngannou, who basically started with Sandmine and now is obviously a star in the boxing world and things like that. Someone can listen to him and be like, I can do this as well, and that forms their the motivation that they need, and then they begin to do things as well, right? So for me, mindset is that, but for me, what has helped me is that I didn't need to struggle because of my upbringing. my dad already, obviously being someone close to me and that I believe I respected, already spoke these things to me as well. He was like, hey, you are not ordinary. You are extraordinary. So as a child, when I saw Superman, and I was like, that's me. That's what my dad's always telling me, that I'm actually supernatural. Like I'm actually extraordinary, right? Like you might not see, I might not like fling a web off my hands and stuff like that, but in terms of, I'm not just, if you put me in a pack of people, I'm a differential, right? There's something unique about me.
Yeah.
And there's something unique about everybody.
Absolutely.
You just need to believe it. Like,
Correct.
some people just feel like I'm just a regular person. No, there's something, my fingerprints is unique. So there are things about me, about my makeup, that is unique as well. But you see, the thing is, the world doesn't really benefit, the systems of this world doesn't benefit from you being unique. It benefits from you being part of, like every other person. Because that's the only way they can sell that agenda. Because if you rely on how unique you are, you would break through systems, you would defy different things, you defy systems, and and the world order, the agenda is to put you in that pack, in that rat race. You're going to start a 9 to 5, and that's what you're going to do, and you're going to make more money. And people
It's all
fall into
programming.
that. Yeah, that programming. Yeah, it's programming. So a lot of people, it's not that they can't change their mindset, it's just that they fell into that programming thing, they fell into that that whole structure. And it's very hard for them to break out of it. But the way to break out of it is to change that information system around you.
Yeah.
And very soon you start to see that, man, wait up. Like some people, I sometimes I'm amazed about how some people think. I was in uni one time, I went to speak at my alma mater sometime, and I saw this young lady. She was actually a speaker alongside me as well. And she said that she was going to buy some land. I was, at the time, I was just like, what are you? You're in uni. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're in uni, you are thinking about, you've got this stock, you've got that stock, you've bought this land, you just have this investment thing. She was just all like, I'm like, who are you? You see? So that is what I'll say about that, right? It's a lot of things, but I think those things, you can pick it apart, and then you can find some truth there. That people can use. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. When you're speaking, I heard so much of introspection, spending time with yourself, which in today's dispensation is a gem.
Yeah.
So many people are distracted. I was reading a book at some point, and I was talking about consciousness. Sometimes when you drive, you're focused on where you're going to, and you sometimes get easily distracted and do not even pay attention to other things happening around you.
Yeah.
Because while you're driving, if you look through, the windscreen, you see that life is continuing. So I want to go back to spending time with yourself. How do you recommend that, people get to introspect more and sort of awaken their consciousness? We'll get to the system conversation, much later.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about Africa as a whole much later. But as a human being, how can one awaken his or our consciousness?
Yeah. See, I think first off is they need to see the value in it. It's like there's no choice. You don't have a choice in like except you want to settle for less. There's power. Sometimes we don't even know ourselves, enough. You need to spend time with yourself to even know yourself better. Because sometimes when you know yourself better, you know the things that you deserve, the things that you should be walking in, right? And if you don't spend time with yourself, you wouldn't know. Sometimes in a day, I look back, I look about my week, and I'm like, okay, how did I do today? I didn't respond very well there. What was wrong there, right? Is there a trauma somewhere? Is there a trigger somewhere, right? How can I respond better in that kind of situation? How can I be less angry? How can I be more, more empathetic, to that person's situation, right? And the truth is, and I'll tell you this, I don't know how to define it, but I'll tell you this, that true power, you will discover that the more you withdraw from people and spend time yourself, you become more powerful, even in terms of your essence and presence, right? If you're always in midst of people, always like, you're always active everywhere, you're just gonna, like, your presence would not be substantial.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why the Buddhists and all these guys, they understand this, right? They understand this concept, and they spend a lot of time, alone for many days, right? And sometimes they deny themselves with food and things like that. They just, they talk about the consciousness, right? Like being aware, right? Because you can be, we're not built to be, it's like a machine is overworking, right? We're not meant to be, just like I remember those days in working in Lagos, man. Like early days, it was crazy. Like you go home, you sleep, you close your eyes and open your eyes. You're like, I need to, like, it was almost like you literally close your. I just literally close my eyes now. I open it. It's 6 or 5, and you know that if I don't stand up now, forget it. You'll be late and then we have to clock in.
Correct.
And if you don't clock in,
bro.
So you have all that stuff. You go the next day, the same thing. The next day, same thing. And then you have family, people that you don't even check on us, you don't even call us, They
don't understand.
Yeah, there's that demand, right? There's so many things calling your attention. And you want to hang out with your friends, you want to make friends. And because obviously Nigeria is a very relationship-driven market, you want to be able, socialize and things like that. At the end of the day, 3 months down the line, you don't even know what you're doing. You don't even know you don't even know who you are.
And I feel like most people fall into that bucket.
Yeah.
Maybe in Lagos, especially,
Yeah.
because sometimes when you travel out of Lagos, for example, and you're driving, the air outside Lagos feels different.
Very different.
So to many people that are in that bucket now, and do not even know what it means to be conscious, what it means to be self-aware, what would be that picking point? Where would be that takeoff point? What do you recommend, or what do you feel is that takeoff point for such people?
I think this is it, like this conversation. If you're listening to this, it can trigger something. Like, you feel like you just wake up. Like, dude, wake up. Like, wake up. Don't be caught it's like you're in a loop.
Yeah.
And sometimes someone needs to like pinch you, like you need to wake up, just like in a dream. You wake up, you thought it was all real. You wake up and you're like, oh wait, it's a dream. I'm awake now. Okay. Because, like I mentioned earlier, your true essence, your true value, your true personality is you can only execute on it when you are conscious, right? When you're conscious, you can't do much. You will just be a number when you are when you are in that loop, right? So I believe that people need to see the value in that, right? And they need to listen when they listen to this, and if you listen to this, you can share as well. People need to know that. I don't want to go into talking about purpose, right? But people need to understand that there's a purpose, and sometimes a lot of people have lived their lives without even doing anything about their purpose.
True.
They
don't even know it exists.
They don't even know it exists. It's like, I just need to fend to live.
Yeah.
And maybe that's where you are at the moment. I mean, you have no choice. But the truth is, like, you can get out of that. You need to progress as well. There was a time in my life where, I just had to, like, I never knew that, like, I never knew people were paying rent, like the kind of rent they were paying. Like, people were paying millions on rent. I was like, this doesn't make any sense to me, right? Because I never really handled that. So obviously, as a young man, getting into the work, life and all that stuff, I'm like, okay, people actually do spend a lot of money on, like, a lot of things will take your money, right? So I think that awakening has to happen for people to really, get into what they should really be doing. And it's not as though maybe you're, for example, working in a bank, like that needs to change. No, like, you can be working in a bank, but be different. Like, and people would tell that something about this person. And those are the things that people see that, decide that, well, let's promote this person. This person deserves to be like the head of this. Even the approach to certain things will be different because they come from a different place. I'm not coming, so someone comes in the company like, I'm just trying to make my next month and just make my salary and be okay. Someone comes and is like, I don't know, I want to make this bank Pan-African.
Yeah.
Right? And that vision drives everything they do. They tell the person that all you need to do is photocopy these documents. But the way the person photocopies that document is because I want this bank to be Pan-African.
Yeah.
And that just makes it just, sometimes it's not even what they do, is when they've done it, you just feel the essence. This person, I remember very early in my career, it was the questions I used to ask my CEO that just used to make him feel one type of way, that there's something different about this guy. And I mean, I'd done things and I was not known really. I was like bottom, like my boss used to tell me that I'm a bottom of the food chain at the time. And I remember that, I was just sitting in the cafeteria and the CEO was there as well. He was a very humble guy, so he would see the cafeterias would have his shawarma and things like that. And he was just like, hey, how are you? He's like, hey, you, how are you? I was like, hey, I'm good. And I was like, and I'll start asking him, what do you do on your weekends?
Oh, you ask him?
I asked him, like, what do you do on your weekends? He's like, my weekends are very lazy, and I'm like, okay, what inspires you? I started to ask him, it's like, but don't you think that you need to share some of these things with staff too? You're a leader, right? And people want to be able to walk the path that you walk to get to where you are, right? Don't you want to do that? I was asking different questions. I was giving some different. It was like. Many people don't think the way you're thinking. Like, people don't care what I read, what books I read, or where I schooled, or my mantra for life. People don't care about those things. So it was like, so you care about these things, interesting. And anytime I had an opportunity, I would ask him so many questions. Trust me, questions are very important tools. One of the things I try to learn is how to ask questions. You never know. Questions are so, a lot of things that I know. So I don't do very well with reading, right? I don't do very well reading. I don't have time to read books and all that stuff. But when I meet someone who's knowledgeable and they've well read, sometimes you can take that all that reading, all that dissecting, and take that value. And it'll be as though you've read all the books ever. Look at one of the people I respect, GB or Florida Wave.
Yeah.
Look at all of these amazing people who built money points and all the fintechs we've seen, right? They are recognized globally because they built something in Africa for Africa. If they try to build PayPal, you know how many people, even college students are building like crazy apps, right? But solve a problem here, and they would open the doors. Harvard would call you and say, let's have a conversation, come and take this session with our students. You can easily make a name for yourself. You can easily make an impact here, right? And that's what I see as an opportunity is, I'm in Africa, and the opportunity is here for me, and there's something I need to do here. If I was born in the US, it would be the same thing. It would be that there's something I need to do here, and the way the world works, right? Obviously, if you're born here, you have parents, you have relatives. If I want to talk to the president, it's just maybe 2 people away from speaking to him. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's one uncle somewhere, there's someone. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? There's somewhere. But if you're in the US, you want to talk to Joe Biden. If there are 2 people being, you're a big man, you're a global person. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's my thoughts on that.
Beautiful. So speaking about impact, right? One of the ways to sort of grow, develop Africa, or even Nigeria as a whole, would be for we to invest, in the development of Nigeria, for example, even Africa at large. So when you spoke about Flutterwave, for example, there are systems that are required, there are technological systems that are required, for example. There are social infrastructure systems that are required, for Nigeria or Africa to get to the state where people feel a lot more comfortable, Are there ways, that you've thought of, for example, that could be instrumental for people that are looking to come back to Africa to invest, to drive impact, people that have that vision, but are somewhere else in the world, doing what they're doing, but they have, that dream, to come back. Obviously, there are challenges here and there, but beyond those challenges, are there really potentials, and how can they come?
Yeah, I think the advantage of not being here is just like in any problem you're trying to solve, sometimes you have to step out of the problem to see the problem properly, right? And I think that's an advantage because you can look outside in. Sometimes looking inside, while you're inside, you don't see the full picture and you don't see the full potential. That's why some of the guys that give us the best, potential for Nigeria are people that are looking outside in. The Goldman Sachs, they tell you the potential because they're looking from outside. They see all of the moving parts and they can say, okay, you have a growing population and it's a youthful population. They look at all the kind of moving parts and they can predict and say, if everything goes right, these are some of the things that can happen, in this space. And I'd say that, I have a couple of friends who've traveled and they've visited a couple of times. And to be honest, I won't say I don't know all the people that have traveled out of Nigeria, but for the ones that are close to me and what they've said, there's a longing for their homeland. And sometimes you don't really find fulfillment out there. Nobody really respects you. Nobody really gives you that, tap on your back like it's at home. And you don't really feel like it's at home, right? You're just a number there. You go there as a software developer and they like the work that you do. Just code this thing, You can't even, do you understand? And a lot of people, a lot of people were so much potential here and they traveled and they were lost. I would say Yoruba one son, I don't even know where they are. They're just somewhere in one city doing something, right? No impact, nothing. Here, like I mentioned earlier, it's easy, right? And I think that Nigeria, you're going out there, you learn a lot of things, you see how things work, you come back with, a mindset that is different, right? Like I mentioned earlier, mindsets, right? And then you can be part of something. You have the tools in your tool set to be part of something. You can change something. A lot of the guys, to be honest, a lot of the guys that are doing great stuff here, I've looked at a lot of them. They actually have been exposed in some way, somehow. Because sometimes you need funding. You can't, like when you school in Harvard or MIT, you're exposed to some really good, and then you talk to them, you can get some funding and all that kind of stuff, or you've built a little bit more capital for yourself to be able to come back and say, what, I want to build something, I want to bootstrap for a little while. You can't do that when you're trying to 9 to 5, you're trying to feed yourself. You're building that thing, but you would look for what needs to feed you. Someone come and say, can we co-found this company? And 2 weeks down the line, you're like, this thing's not making money. I need to feed. At the end of the day, I need to eat food. So you can't continue. You look for what will pay you, which might not be impactful. Just a regular task. And I think Nigeria is a bedrock. There's so many things you can do in Nigeria. So many things are broken. And I think that if things really work out, the mass exodus that we've seen can be a good thing. Because basically, when you want to do training, you ship people out, they train, they come back, and they come back empowered. With that. They come back empowered, not just in their minds, also financially. Correct. They have the tools, in their tool sets, and then you just have you just have a good, you talent-wise, FDI-wise, have investment, people can invest and all that kind of stuff, and we just have a better Nigeria that way.
Do you see that happening anytime soon?
I'm a massive believer in Nigeria. I know it's not a popular opinion, but I think, and I was talking to a friend recently, I think that the change that we want to see is most likely going to come not from the government, but from the people. But the people are in chains. So when they get out, when they come back in, they are unchained, and they can actually really do something, right? so my and this is my personal opinion, right? And we don't do respect to all the people working hard in government, right? But you see, government is not structured to be a change agent per se. Think of government like a massive company. There's compliance, there's rules, there's regulations. Before you get something approved, you have to go to the house. Like, it's too big. That's why startups can disrupt. Why? Because they are small, they are agile, and they can move. Government is not structured that way. Government is like the biggest corporate organization with all the oldest tools and mindset and everything, bureaucracy and all that stuff. So it's very difficult to move. Any government that wants to change anything, you want to vote the president that will change everything. Yeah, I mean, good luck on that. The best thing they can do, obviously, try to do some good policies and things like that. But those things take time. Whether they're 100, I can't wait 100 years. I'll be dead by then. Do you know what I'm saying? I need something to happen in my lifetime that I can be happy about. Yeah. And that the only way you can is to have people who can disrupt. Yeah. You know, and that's to have this kind of, you know, we've seen a lot of unicorn business and stuff like that. We need to have more of those things, you know. But the problems I see is that a lot of these guys are registered in the US. I understand that, right? But we need to structure our business in such a way that is within this ecosystem. And obviously that flow of cash and possibilities, employment and all that kind of stuff is within this ecosystem. Yeah. But, you know, we really have a lot of enemies. You know, I'll say this.
As a country?
As a country, yes. We have a lot of enemies. Because if we actually break free.
And there's some colonial.
Of course. I mean, do you see how hard the US fights China? Like, nobody wants to receive power like that. Yeah. So when they come to Nigeria and they say, I hope they'll give me a US visa. When they come to Nigeria and they say, we believe in you. You can be, like, yeah, we believe in you, but like, are you going to believe in me when I'm take over your position as number one? Yeah. Are you that? Do you remember? You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, bro. I mean, like, I'm hopeful, but it's a very hard journey. Not gonna lie. Yeah. But it's gonna take, you know, people who are empowered, you know, like you mentioned, for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, thank you so much, JD, for your time. It's been interesting, you know, mind-opening as well, you know, chatting with you on today's edition of Stories and Journeys. Do you have any last words for our audience? You know, any action you want them to take as well?
I think I'll just try to do a recap, right? Just for those who might, you know, be watching the video or something like that. We touched a couple of very important things. You know, one is consciousness. One is also, we kind of said meditation, but it's kind of like mindsets. Yeah. Those things are very important. Africans and Nigerians don't pay attention to things like that. We think they're like, what is that? You know, when we talk about mental health and things like that, Nigerians are like, oh, black don't crack. We get it, yeah? But we need to pay attention to those things. Your mind, you know, focus on yourself, right? Understand yourself, understand those unique things about you. Because when you know yourself, right? You know, remember those movies when you watch where someone has superpowers, but they don't know how to use it, they don't know about it. Yeah. When they spend time with themselves and they discover it and they harness it, then they become a force to be reckoned with. True. And I think this is what happens to people when they focus on themselves. They truly harness their true gifts and potentials, and they become a force to be reckoned with.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, JD. So, guys, you can become a force to reckon with. Yeah. There's so much potentials, you know, in Nigeria, in Africa. You need to wake up. We all need to wake up. You know, there's so much potentials, like I said. We need to change our mindsets. Please feel free to share this video with your friends. If you've not hit the subscribe button just yet, please do that. And we would see you next time.